welcome inside season 3 of the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and The Martian, breaking down Ottawa Senators games right after they happened. Tonight, the 2023-24 season started with a thud. It was an exciting game, but it was a 5-3 loss in Carolina. The Hurricanes have won 5 season openers, and the Senators again fighting to come from behind early and get back into the win column. Pilsy, as we start these off, your first thoughts on the first loss of the year.
Well, first off, welcome back, boys. The Postcast is back, season 3. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces in the chat. Good to have everyone back. Wish we could be celebrating a dub, but as we say, the Postcast is for venting when you lose and vibing when you win. So come vent with us, everybody. I don't know about you guys, but the biggest story for me in this one is this team went balls to the wall in the first period, and they looked great. They were getting chances. They were playing physical. They were playing fast. And then about, Martian, halfway through the second period, you could tell the legs on the boys were starting to get heavy. The Carolina Hurricanes were outmatching them. They outshot them heavily. Poor frustration and lazy penalties throughout the game cost them. And this would have been a game where it would have been nice to have 12 forwards. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, he just led exactly into what I was going to go off of there, Pilsy. Not having that extra forward definitely was, one of the reasons why the Sens looked like they ran out of gas. I feel like guys like Batherson and Tkachuk were taking shifts on the fourth line, which actually looked pretty good, by the way, I might add. Parker Kelly had a good game, but man, definitely, I saw them looking good in that first period. I'm like, okay, these are the new Sens. They're looking pretty solid here. Very well-rounded, nice defensive game. And then, they just collapsed halfway through that second. And then they brought the hope right back in for me there with that 2-goal spurt within 45 seconds of each other, I believe it was. And
35 seconds, yeah.
35. And man, I was like, okay, we're right back in it here. And then hope was quickly lost once again there. So tough one.
Shorthanded goal for Parker Kelly. He gets on the board for the first time since last January. And for Mathieu Joseph, it was his first even strength goal since last year. So two guys who have been struggling to put the puck in the net to finish off last season were able to get goals for Ottawa. My first note, though, in this game, boys, Timmy being strong on his feet, draws a penalty to Pesce. I was like, okay, that's the Timmy I want. Like, be strong, fight through it, and earn your penalties rather than, maybe the Bambi legs a little bit. And I thought that it was quickly taken away with a couple bad penalties for Timmy tonight. It was kind of a give and take game because he scored a goal. It was kind of like, that superstar burst that teams get. Parker Kelly scores, as you guys mentioned. It was so quickly after. And it's like, that's the type of game breaker the Senators needed. Martian, I want to go to you I got to go to Pilsy because he picked the mask in the Ring of Honor. We're a goalie-friendly show. Jonas Korpisalo, your thoughts on his game, his Senators debut?
Look, we were talking about who our Sens Central standouts were going to be right about, a little bit into the third period. And I was looking at Korpisalo because he had looked good. His glove looked great at the start of the game. He had that big save on the penalty shot. I thought he was really in the zone. And then the end of the third period, those 2 goals, that's a tough one. Like that fourth goal, which ends up being the game winner. Martian, he went with the Patty Lalime reaching the glove over to try to stop a blocker save. And then after the goal, he's like looking at his equipment like, is there a hole here? What happened there? It's like, maybe try the blocker on the blocker side. Sure, your glove's hot, Corpy, but on blocker side, we use the blocker. That would be my advice.
On the third angle, and when you have to look at this many, it shows how slight it may have been. I think it goes off of Batherson's stick and kind of ramps up. I don't know if he's expecting it to come high.
Doesn't matter. I don't want that left hand reaching all the way across the body, Ross.
I think you're right, Ross, but it came the deflection came so far out. He should have had a little bit of time to at least react to that. That blocker side is something that we need to keep our eyes on, fellas, because the glove hand looked fantastic, especially in that first period. He was robbing guys with that glove. He was dialed in. He was catching everything. There was no rebounds. And then next thing you know, they start shooting a little bit more on that blocker side, and 2 high risers get them.
Yeah, tough.
I'm looking at the chat right now, and there's a lot of differentiating opinions. Some people just saying, oh, here we go again. And for others, it's like, okay, let's be realistic here. The Carolina Hurricanes are the FanDuel favorite to win the Stanley Cup. No team has better odds.
They're the favorite? Wow.
That's the type of team you're going up against, and we saw it come in waves in the second period. After the Senators got their legs going, I felt midway through the game there was kind of a switch that went off, and they just went off from there. I'm trying to see exactly where I had it with 3 minutes left. So after they got that third penalty, the one where Martian, you tweeted out the clip of the Stützle hit, that penalty killed. Right after it, momentum was gone for pretty much the rest of the game outside of that stretch.
Yeah, I feel like they were like just steady the entire game, right? Whereas the Sens were riding the highs and lows of the game. I feel like the Sens highs were a little bit higher and their lows were lower, but Carolina just kept cruising, right? Just as a veteran team would do, right? Just really good hockey all the way through, and they just stuck with their game, and that's how you get wins in this league, I guess. So Sens could probably learn something from that. I think just maybe not riding the emotions too much.
And that's a veteran team. That's the Carolina Hurricanes for you. They're a solid team, and that could have been 3-0 if it weren't for Freddie Anderson in the first period. I thought the Senators had a ton of chances that didn't go in. Drake Batherson hit the post early in the game, and I thought he was going to get one. I had my Drake Batherson 3+ point prop, and it just did not happen tonight, and it's unfortunate, but I'm still kind of like, I'm still looking forward to the home opener. I still, obviously, it's way too
well, you gotta be. Come on.
What?
I mean, it's one game. I know.
I'm done with the season already. This sucks.
Everybody wants to overreact. It's just the first game. It's a super long season. I know it's easy to just be like, well, here we go again. But, I mean, we just got to chill a little bit here. Some guys have bad games. We're missing those two centermen. Let's just cool the jets. Everything's going to be fine.
What do you guys think? I want to get your take on this because I'm seeing it pop up a lot in the chat, and I'll get to your question after, Adam. A nice callback to last season. Boys, I'm a little surprised with 11 forwards that Vladimir Tarasenko played 12 minutes in this game.
Looking at his play, I'm not surprised. He looked not good out there. And the one thing about Tarasenko is you hear so much about his wrister. It was the end of the second period, 4 seconds left. He's speeding down the wing. I'm like, all right, he's going to try to rip one on net here. And then he goes in with a weak backhand and then bowls over Anderson. Like, what a waste that was.
The old one-handed muffin, eh, Pilsy?
Yeah, like that really upset me. He looked a step behind the entire time. Like, I don't know, for the hired gun that ends up ruining your entire cap situation, that was not a good look, and Pierre Dorion would have wanted a better start for Tarasenko, that's for sure.
My theory with him is that, I mean, I don't think that he's the most in shape player that there's ever been, so I feel like it might take him a few games to just get up to speed, and I think being on the third line is kind of one of those things that kind of, like, just on paper, being on the third line, it's not a very big motivator for him. He sees Rourke Chartre as his center, and he goes,
"Hey,
he had a good game.
Yeah, he looked good out there.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, come on, like you look at that on paper, and you can't be overly excited. I mean, the other way around though, Rourke Chartre's got to look at his line mates and go, "Holy, these are two legitimate NHL players I'm playing with here." So, I don't know, man. I feel like Tarasenko is just going to take a little while to get going. I still hold faith in that signing.
So do I, Martian. It's just when that's the guy that put us in this pickle, as Michael Andlauer would say, it's not a great look. You want a little more out of him to get going.
Yeah, you really do. Like, you didn't give him $5 million to say, hey, but if you show up by December, January, that's cool, man.
That's the issue. But I do agree with what Martian's saying. Like, he's one of those guys. He's a veteran. He's not known for his speed, but I would have liked a little more.
As I tweeted out yesterday at Sen Central, it's like, boys, Pierre Dorion needs Vladimir Tarasenko to have a hot start based on the Shane Pinto situation that he put himself in by signing Tarasenko. And that's not on Vladdy. Vladdy has to play well because he's being paid to play well, and a veteran on this team and a hired gun. They didn't get that tonight. No shots on goal, 12 minutes of play. And when you're in the offensive zone with the puck on your stick less than Rourke Chartier on your own line, not a good sign for Vladimir Tarasenko. But it is still early. That's a bit of an overreaction. Game 1, Sens lose to a cup favorite, a team that made it to the Eastern Conference final last year. I'm trying to toe the line where I don't think it's like an excuse. It's more of just like, you know what? Get the next one. Because we mentioned, Pilsy, this morning, Sens have a 5-game homestand coming up. And there's no excuses that they have to win, I think, 4 out of 5. Like with the teams coming in, I don't think 4 out of 5 is crazy to say.
No, I agree with you, Ross. And look, I kind of had this game as a scheduled loss. It sounds bad to say. I would have liked to get the 1 point. It looked like they were able to do that. That was my hope. But this is a game where you're not set up for success. You're on the road, cut favorite, down a forward, first game. So it happens.
Yes, it happens. Martian, you got something?
No, I think we can move on to whatever was the next, Ross.
Well, I got something fun. The Sens Central standouts now with a beautiful visual aid. That's coming up next. We got to say a quick word about our friends at the Glebe Central Pub, though. We're going to be at the Glebe Central Pub on Sunday. We're taking the shuttle to and from the Sens Lightning game, and you can too. For the low price of $17, you're able to go on the shuttle to and from the game. They drive you right back to the Glebe Central Pub. Head over glebecentralpub.com. I put the link in our description right here, and you can go see all the games that they have the Glebe Central Pub shuttle for. It's honestly the easiest way to go to the game. Nothing worse than having to what, Martian, after the game? What do you do to get to the car?
We run.
But you don't have to at the Glebe Central Pub. They leave 15, 20 minutes after the game. Just smooth sailing. And to get to the game, an hour and 15 minutes before puck drop, that's 5:45 for a 7 o'clock game, so that there's no worries about getting to your seat in time for puck drop. So go check them out, Glebe Central Pub, glebecentralpub.com, and go visit them at 779 Bank Street in the heart of the Glebe.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Jace Medical. Guys, the Jace case is crucial in times like these because it provides you with 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. All it takes is filling out a simple online form or hopping on a call with a physician. Get ongoing care from their physicians on treatment-related questions. Don't get caught unprepared. That's why there's the Jace case. It helps you in emergencies. They will handle everything from online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical Plus, an additional $20 off using code LOCKEDON at checkout at jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com, promo code LOCKEDON.
Welcome back to the Locked On Senators Postcast, presented by Sen Central and Martian Media. Make sure you're following the Martian on social media at Laleem's Martian. I'm at Ross Levitan. Pilsy's at Brandon Piller 1. The show is at Sen Central. We have plenty to discuss on the show tomorrow as we turn our attention to a homestand that has become even more important than it maybe already was. We know home openers have the juices flowing, but they have to keep that energy going into the rest of the week. But what about tonight's game? There had to be some Senators that stood out despite being a 5-3 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes, a game the Senators were outshot 42-30. Funny enough, Pilsy, when we were talking about this game earlier, we mentioned Joonas Korpisalo. Hey, maybe he gets 38 saves and they steal it. He had 37 saves, but 5 went past him, so they aren't able to get the victory here. Martian, your Sen Central standout in tonight's game.
Yeah, and I think luckily I have the first pick here. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the Ring of Honor boys, where we go around the table and we make our selections. And I might add, I did become the Ring of Honor champion for the first time. I know that there was never a big wrap up on that. But yeah, so I mean, it reminds me of that. But I'm going to go with my first overall selection here with Matthew Joseph, boys. I mean, he had for a guy who's been in all these trade talks and having such a bad season last year. I thought he was flying out there tonight very much like the way he was playing in the preseason, right? He had the goal and the assist, and both of them were really nice plays by him. The deflection in front for the goal and, the hustle that he had. I felt like he had so many odd man rushes that were created, by himself. So for the assist, he made that great block shot and then scooted down on the penalty kill and made that pass to Parker Kelly. Who did a great job burying that one. So I thought, Matthew Joseph had a really good game. He had 17 minutes and 52 seconds of ice time, which is not a math guy, but at least 5 minutes more than Tarasenko, which is kind of funny, right? But Matthew Joseph, I mean, he's getting a lot of flack online. He's getting a lot of his name is flying around in the media. And for him to just be able to ignore that and put all that aside, I think that, that proves a lot about where he stands as wanting to be an Ottawa Senator. And if they can find a way to keep this guy, I'm not trying to go too far with the overreactions, and still sign Pinto, then I'm cool with that because he's putting in the hustle. And at the same time, too, I love the little bit of feistiness he showed with Tony DeAngelo on the sideboards there towards the end of the game, too. So Matthew Joseph is my standout for tonight's game.
And maybe this is a short-term solution, although it's centermen that are out of the lineup for Ottawa. But Martian, I feel like Joseph plays better in a top six role when he's the third player on the line. I find he simplifies his game more. He just plays straight lines, goes. I know he did some of his damage shorthanded tonight. It was great playing 4 minutes and 40 seconds, I believe, in shorthanded time on ice. But do you guys like him better in the top six or on the third line?
Well, I mean, he certainly played better than Tarasenko, and I thought Kubalik had an all right game, but
he had that one chance right in front, that one timer. He was wide open.
Yeah, that's one you like to bury in your debut as a Senator, but I like it, Ross. And the thing is, he provides some speed on that line, which I think they really need. So Batherson's got some speed as well, but Joseph, he can really put the burners on, and he showed that in this game. So for now, I like Joseph there.
Yeah, he's fine as fine as an up. He should be the first guy who goes up and down, I think, in the lineup. But ideally, he's your third line winger, right? And I think even once they get Norris and Pinto hopefully back, hopefully at the same time, that'll be a huge boost. That third line is going to look a lot like a lot of teams' second line. You're going to have someone like, I don't know if it's going to be Kubalik, but you're going to have Pinto as the centerman. So those are going to be, three good lines up front. And Matthew Joseph should be able to produce and play that same style with anyone basically in that top nine, I feel like. So it's good. It's good to have a guy like that. He's very versatile, right? And that penalty kill action is solid too.
Sens went 5 for 6, shorthanded with a penalty kill goal. So
might be leading the league. We might be leading the league in penalty kill right now.
Yeah, I know we're dead last in power play.
Well, the Canes are looking pretty good right now, Martian.
Good point.
For my Sens Central standout, I'm going to go to a guy on the same line as Matthew Joseph. I thought Drake Batherson had a really good game. Now, this might be an example of similar to Korpisalo, a guy who had a really hot start and then things didn't work out for him in the end. Although I wouldn't say Batherson had a bad game near the end, but he was really noticeable at the start of the game. He hit the post there. He was getting in the mix a lot. He ended up with 5 shots on goal by the time everything was said and done. So he ends up really contributing to this offense. I'm just trying to see if that led the team. Yeah, it leads the team with 5 shots on goal. So he was doing what he can to get in the mix there. And I thought he looked better offensively. You can really see his size out there. So in a game with some slim pickings, I like Batherson's game, especially at the start of it.
Yeah, the start of it was what really got my attention peaked. I was like, oh, he's got a couple in him tonight. And he had a couple good, like, I'm going to get the puck back from you plays that he really didn't have in a lot of last season. I liked that from him. And I hope that that's a sign of things to come, because if he's playing heavy in the neutral zone, especially when there's a turnover and he can just, make it go the other way once again, that's when he's going to be at his best for the Sens this year. It kind of waned just like the team did in the second half. So hopefully that can be sustained further and further. I thought Ridley Gregg did an admirable job on that line as well, with Joseph and Batherson, but won't be soon enough that Josh Norris and or Shane Pinto can inhabit it. Probably not and, maybe or would probably work better there.
Let's start with that. Yeah.
Let's take anything we can get.
Yeah.
Boys, Pillsy talks about slim pickings. Well, now I have the third Sens Central standout.
I have no idea who you would pick.
I'm going with Parker Kelly.
I love that.
Yes, yeah. Right? And we've been harsh on Parker Kelly throughout the offseason and training camp. What's he going to do to be a pest out there? Today, he was mixing it up, but that wasn't where he made his hay. He was unreal. That goal was a goal scorer's goal. Gets a perfect pass, no hesitation, rips it on net. And I didn't see any immediate reaction. I didn't see the net move. I was like, did he rip that into the mesh? Where did that go? And then he sallied. So I was like, okay, here we go.
Nice Sally too. Like a guy who's done it several times. Like he was ready to do it. Like he had it planned, He just got down on one knee. Yeah.
I was thinking the opposite on that one, Martian. I was thinking that's a guy that hasn't scored in a while. Like he's got a lot of pent up Sally energy there. I think he hadn't scored a goal in 30 games. look, I feel like I always do this, but I want to tip my hat more to Joseph on that play. Like, you get the block shot at the blue line, and then you hustle down there. You beat out the defenseman. And then one thing, I know this is your Parker Kelly standout, Ross, so I'm focusing more on Joseph. But one thing I like about Joseph is he seems a lot more patient than he was in years past. Like, he was so quick to get the puck off his stick in last year, whereas this year he waits, he hits that perfect pass, and then, hey, Kelly gets the job done. Like, sure, that's your point blank, you against the goalie, but Anderson was hot and you still had to beat him, and that's a nice shot by Parker Kelly. So definitely a good start to the season for number 27.
And I mean, those were your two top penalty killers up front. It was Joseph playing 4 minutes and 40 seconds. It was Parker Kelly playing 4 minutes and 19 seconds. And contrary to what we saw in practice, maybe it was because he was with the second power play unit while they were practicing, but Jake Sanderson was out there on the PK with Travis Hamonic. Unfortunately, he and Hamonic were way high on, I believe, the Tarasenko goal. No, it was the Bunting goal because he walked out of the corner. Yeah. On both those goals, there was no Senators defenseman even in sight.
Was it not Hamonic and Brandstrom for that goal? I only remember seeing it once, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was the two of them.
Oh, yeah, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, Martian.
Yeah, on that one, I believe it was Brandstrom and Hamonic that were out there for that, and they both kind of floated up into the slot.
If I didn't, no, it was Sandy.
It was. Okay, my mistake. Sorry, Ross.
Joe Bell and Bae-Ali. Oh, my first mispronunciation of the season. Heck
Here
yeah.
we go.
But hey, Sandy had a great game. Like, out of the decor, he was probably the best. And if we're going to go kind of the other way from standouts, boys, overreaction time, Shabbat and Chychrun were not good tonight. And like, it wasn't just the -3 for Chychrun, the -2 for Shabbat. Like, they did not look that comfortable together.
No, it all, for me, it all just goes right back to Shabbat having to play the right side. And you saw it on one of those goals where he just couldn't make an easy outlet pass. Yeah. He just like kind of flubbed one up the boards on his backhand. And that's the thing I've always been saying. Like, you force him to his backhand, it makes him making that play almost impossible. So that's what happened there. And then Timmy got it on the wall, and he kind of chopped one up a little bit, and he turned it over, and sure enough, it ends up in the back of the net. That's the kind of stuff that they need to like completely get rid of, because that's like, to me, like, to bring it back to goal, that's a double bogey. That's like, you're not going to, come back from that almost. It makes your game's going to be worse every time if you're doing that. So, you can't be making those kind of mistakes. But as far as the chemistry of those two guys goes, I don't know if you want to just give it time and hope they work it out, but I don't think we've seen enough of it yet, I guess is what I'm saying. I feel, unfortunately, hopefully we don't end up seeing more of the same of this kind of thing, because that'll just lead to more losses. But I feel like, those two guys are two good players. They should be able to, handle it. I see them switching a lot too. I'm not sure if that messes with them as well, but it's tough to see when that's supposed to be essentially your top pairing.
No, I'm with you, Martian. You got to give him more time, but the decision to have Shabbat on the right side just boggles my mind. Like, I just can't understand it, especially Chychrun was acquired, and the big hype around him was that he can play the right side. And like, we saw how many times last year did Shabbat make terrible turnovers trying to transition the puck up the ice in his own end. So why then would you make things more difficult on him and put him on his offside? Like, maybe this is just one of those things that just grinds my gears more than usual, and I need to calm down on it. But that really frustrates me, and I hope this experiment doesn't last too long.
It really upsets you, right, Pilsy?
It grinds my gears big time.
Yeah.
If you're looking up at the screen right now, these bars, I don't really understand it. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on it, but if it's more on the right, it's good. If it's more on the left, it's not great. So it's another tool to use where you're sorted out, and it kind of follows the eye test. I mean, two of our standouts are of the top 3 in this game. And then Pilsy, it looks like a lot of defensive minus for Drake Batherson while still having some offense in there. Show
me this from the first.
Who makes these again, Ross? Because these are good. Like, I always find that it does kind of line up with what I see as well, which is kind of nice.
It is, and I should give it. It's Hockey Stat Cards. You can follow them on Twitter at Hockey Stat Cards.
Yeah, I see those around. I like that.
Yeah, it's a very nice tool. So credit to them. Really appreciate them for putting those out for every game. So it's got to be automated, right? That said, fellas, 5-3 loss opening game this season. Senators lost their opening game last year as well to Buffalo. It was a hard-fought game on the road. Then they lost in Toronto, but then they came home and won all 5 games of their 5-game homestand. So they got to keep that similar home energy for when they come back. But boys, what is your final thoughts on this game? We are going to do a postcast after dark. We'll get to the chat a little bit more. Audio listeners, tune in to Locked On Senators tomorrow, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to check out the postcast after dark, you can go onto the YouTube channel and watch the replay of it. All right, with that, Martian, your overwhelming thoughts going into tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just don't overreact to it, I guess, is what I'm going to go with here. I feel like, it was a tough matchup on the road, first game of the year. You're missing your 2 top centermen. The goaltending kind of fell apart at the end. I mean, let's just give it a little bit of a wash here. We're going to win on Saturday, and then hopefully on Sunday too, and then they'll be back up there 2-1 after 3. That's fine.
Thoughts for me on this one wrapping up is it was tough watching some of the bad penalties by star players at the end of this game. Like that Timmy tripping penalty behind the Hurricanes net. Now, mind you, a lot of these are probably because they're just gassed. Like that's a lazy play where if he has full tank, he's probably not doing that. And then Brady with the cross-checking penalty on Pesce at the end. Like there's no reason for that. That's frustration. So my kind of wrapping thoughts is going to be, if you're getting down and you're getting tired, you can't be taking dumb penalties like that. That's something they're going to have to contain here, and they're going to have to hold their frustrations in.
Yeah, and he didn't even pick a star player either, eh?
Yeah.
Some old habits just die hard. Like the Senators losing to open the season, unfortunately. But we're keeping the faith around here. Pilsy and I were kind of expecting a loss here tonight. You're in Carolina. It's a tough environment. It was a fun game, man. They battled back. Like they could have rolled over and died the first time they went down 2 goals, but bang, bang, and they were right back in it until the third, and then they just got outclassed. So they're not there yet. If there is such thing as having a measuring stick game this early in the season, which I'm unsure if that is real, they aren't there yet with the Carolinas in the top tiers. But are they up there with the Philadelphias of the world? They better be. And that's the next opponent who's coming to Ottawa, 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Okay, stick around for the postcast after dark. But for now, we say goodbye for Brandon Piller and the Martian. I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the first of 82 plus postcasts this season from the Locked On Senators podcast. It's also brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. Check them out, 779 Bank Street. Make sure you let them know Locked On Senators sent you, and click the link below in the bio, glebecentralpub.com, and you will be taken where you can get on the Sens shuttle for select games throughout the season. All right, it's the postcast after dark.
Where's our postcast after dark music?
Yeah, we need some music to transition to that.
This is where things get crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, true. I forgot we're going with that.
Boys, we just went through the whole postcast and we didn't talk about a penalty shot in the first period.
Oh, that was such a good save, too.
I mentioned it with Corpy. But the reffing was not great. Game 1 for the refs as well. Got to put that in there. Like
the postcast after dark, because we do not talk about the refs.
It's way too friggin' early to be talking about the refs. Can we swear on the postcast after dark? No, right?
I mean, it worked out in the Sens' favor. Like that was certainly like Rod Brind'Amour had a reason to be upset on that Stützle goal. That was too many men on the ice.
I didn't notice that, but I do notice over time that Rod Brind'Amour complains more than any other coach in the league.
Oh, yeah, and I think the refs listen to him, too, and their fans complain more than any other fans in the league. I feel like Carolina Hurricanes fans just know how to play it up. Every time somebody falls over, it's like, whoa, what's going on? Where's the penalty? Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brutal. Okay, what other notes do you guys have from this game? Because, like,
I see a lot of people in the chat talking about like Kastelik as being a guy who's, didn't play that well. I don't know, just trying to look really quick. He only played 7 minutes and 33 seconds of ice time, so he really can't be that big of a difference maker. Although
especially
he did
with a forward down, like that's
he did take a bad penalty. And the puck just tends to explode off of his stick when he gets it. But I don't think he was the difference tonight. I don't really know what the difference was tonight. I think that maybe Carolina's just a better team.
I would say that's pretty accurate.
I'm holding on to the man down was a big factor here. Like like, especially when they tied that game up 3-3, like, if you got a little more juice, I think you can hold on. Like, that fourth goal, is that the one where Shabbat couldn't clear it?
That was
And
the
then
third
Timmy
one, I
couldn't
think,
clear?
or the fourth one, I think. Third or
Yeah,
fourth.
so if you got a little more gas in the tank, you're making smarter plays there. And then that final goal was just lazy efforts, in my opinion. Like, sure, you'd like Corpy to have that one from Slavin, but the Sens they're on the power play, and the Canes just forecheck harder. So it's tough.
Yeah, really tough. And if you go to Natural Stat Trick, you can see it 5-on-5. Pilsy, when Mark Kastelic and Parker Kelly were out there at 5-on-5, they played
Oh.
2 minutes with Drake Batherson and a minute 12 with Vladimir Tarasenko. Those were their 5-on-5 partners. They had 0 shot attempts for and 10 against.
Oh, yikes, boys.
Wow,
And
they
like
really got eaten up.
that's
Eaten
tough.
up. And you look at the other lines, like the best line tonight for the Ottawa Senators was probably the Ridley, Greg, Matthew, Joseph, and Drake Batherson line.
Definitely.
They were 50-50, but even like expected goals, they were at 40%. The best line expected goals wise, and it was like 4 minutes of ice time, right? So it's not that big. There was so much special teams in this game, eh?
Yeah.
They had a 65% expected goals and 50% on the Corsi. So you look at it and like, I think they were just outclassed. Like, I think we can talk until we're blue in the face. They just lost to a better team and a team that was ready, man. They come out in waves, eh? Like that Hurricanes team, I see it, man. They did that without Svechnikov too.
Yeah. We didn't talk about Tim Stützle's snipe either really too much. That was an absolute rocket.
Yeah,
That was a short side little tuck.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, that was great.
He's gonna do that every game, I feel like at this point.
Feels like. I just hope he's not giving as much back as he did. Like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say one bad turnover, one sick goal.
Yeah, exactly. Like let's at least be a net positive at the end of the day, but electric talent.
Superstar.
Any other thoughts on different players? I'm going up and down the lineup tonight. Like I thought Brady had his moments, but don't love the penalties and overall, you still expect more from what should be one of the best players on the team, but beyond that, like I don't know. It wasn't a very inspired 5-on-5 effort, especially throughout the game. We already touched on how the top pair didn't look super comfortable. I mean, Jake Sanderson playing over 25 minutes, he can get used to that.
Apparently, like I thought he wasn't going to have to get used to that, but it looks like that's the way things are trending here.
His last time playing in Carolina, April 4th, he played 30-34. So this probably felt like a walk in the park for him.
True.
Oh, here we go.
Appreciate you. Let's say the wheels fall off before Sweden. We're already going into deep depression. Making coaching front office change before they leave. That's tough because unless you're just going to bring in Jack Capuano, which I think would be pretty uninspiring,
No.
I think you probably do it when you get back. Like
as soon as you get back, you do it. And it's almost like I would go. So if it's that bad, I think it's DJ for sure.
But it's when you get back, right? You don't want a new coach starting in Sweden.
Yeah, before you leave is a no, but once you get back, if it goes so terribly, then yeah, for sure there's got to be major changes.
Is that like where you draw the line though? Because that's like game 16 of the season. Like that's pretty. That he would be the first coach fired if it's that early.
Well, how bad is it? Well, no, Mike Babcock was the first coach fired.
Yeah, word.
But it depends on how bad it is. Like if they somehow only have like 4 or 5 wins, then 100%, like it almost should happen sooner than that.
Yeah, that's one of those things where if you're gonna do it, nip it in the bud right away and get it done. Especially we know how this team's November is, but I've maintained, and I'll stick on this stance. I don't think firing DJ just to fire him it makes a lot of sense. You got to have the proper backup plan. Like, if they're going to fire him, I want it to be because they think they've got someone better. And that can be difficult.
Patrick Waugh for the storylines would be wild.
Yeah.
Here's the upcoming schedule for the Ottawa Senators. The homestand begins Saturday. Boys will be boots on the ground. 1 p.m. game. Gotta love that. And then you come back 28 hours later, give or take, and you get the Tampa Bay Lightning at home. 2 days off at home. Then Washington. 2 days off at home. Then the house cat wobbles in for his return. Alex DeBrincat for a matinee on a Saturday afternoon. And then you get the Buffalo Sabres at home. a huge division rival who you're going to be going toe-to-toe with, hopefully, all season long. So that's the homestand right there, boys. You have to win 3, maybe even 4. If it's 3, you better hope it's Tampa, Detroit, Buffalo. Like, you can't let any of these divisional games this early in the season and get rock and roll.
I am the eternal optimist, but I can see them winning all those games.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
just
definitely
looking at
possible.
I feel like, no Vasilevsky, that's huge.
Huge.
The Capitals are a bit of a wild card. I don't really know what they think of them. I know they're better than Detroit, and I think they step up for the game against Buffalo because everybody's kind of overrating them and saying that they're better than the Sens. So I could see them kind of going in there with the same mentality that they had last year against Detroit when there was a little bit of playoff action on the line. So I hope they win them all. I think they got it in them. Home ice is a big advantage too. So, and
Massive.
you never know when they're going to get those guys back too, right? Norris and Pinto.
No, we literally have no clue.
I mean, that's the most important thing. They need to come back.
But they
At least one of them. At least one of them.
ASAP.
They need to come back.
The home opener is a must win. Like, I know that it's crazy, game 2, but you got to win the home opener up against a weak team, especially after losing the first game. Like, we're in must win territory already here.
Oh, we aren't. Really?
I think the home opener is a must win. You got to win that one.
You always have to win the home opener. But you're going full panic mode if they don't?
I mean, you can't beat the Philadelphia Flyers at home.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Jeez. I just don't want to think about that. They're going to win. We're going to Martian Palooza after. It's going to be an absolute, just festival. It's going to be so fun to have everybody.
Important.
Throw an alien in the chat if you're going to Martian Palooza.
Thursday at Columbus. First game of the season for Philly, and then at Ottawa. That's their second game of the year. They'll be ready. They'll be ready. I don't know if I'm ready for this game, fellas.
You're ready. You're always
home
ready.
Opener? Oh, I'm ready. I'm so excited for this. I've got my FanDuel account all locked and loaded. It's gonna be one hell of a day.
Oh, we're gonna have such a blast at this game. But until I hear that goal horn, that sweet, sweet goal horn, I'm gonna be pretty nervous, boys. I'm not.
Ross, you're gonna hear it early, and you're gonna hear it often that day.
The Sens seem to score, like, at least get up to good leads early in the home opener. Like the last couple ones we went to, I think they've potted 3 goals in the first period.
Both teams.
Leafs and Boston, they did.
Yep, Leafs and Boston last 2 years. So can they make it a trifecta?
Only thing different is Chris Tierney's not here to get the first goal at home this year. He did that a bunch of times, it felt like.
Oh, big time.
All right, boys. Well, it's been a slice.
I love it. I love the Sens hockey. Just looking up, knowing it's ready to go. Like they even played and shout out. We don't do this often. Shout out Sportsnet. Song 2, Blur, as their like season prep. I was like, okay.
I thought that was good omens, and I was feeling really good about that one. Not gonna lie.
It brought them out hot in the first.
Yeah.
I think it means that we can't expect a change of the goal song like the Leafs did. I mean, that's all they talked about in the intermissions today.
It was way too prevalent all day. It was too prevalent.
Yeah.
So thank goodness. And you know what? I love song 2. I don't mind if they change it. Like I like it, but I don't mind if they change it. That said, you have to just have one song.
Yeah, the mixing it up, like
it should be synonymous with a goal.
Yeah,
I mean, I know what you're saying for sure. I do like the idea of the personalization of things, but I know what you mean. Like it's almost, especially in the playoffs, it's way better when it's the same song over and over, and the opposing team just hears it in their brain, all night long after a loss.
And especially when it's a song that everyone sings along to. The two that come to mind: Chicago with Chelsea Dagger, of course, and actually the Nodak Sens use that as well at the Ralph. But no, the one that I love the most is MSG, where everyone in the crowd is going, hey, 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 hey. It's like a whole event when they score a goal. Everyone gets fired up because they feel like they're a part of it. And I feel like the Sens kind of have that. You get the Via Rail horn, and then everyone's woo-hooing, just having a time. I love it. I'm all in.
I'm a big woohoo guy myself. So
I do like the woohoo too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too upset. If they had to change one thing, I'd change the goal song before I change the entrance song.
Yeah. The entrance song slaps.
Yeah.
The Dangerfoots, I believe they call it.
Yes. All time.
Big time. Well, the Senators, they lose tonight. Unfortunately, the Senators fall by a score of 5-3 to the Carolina Hurricanes. And Sens fans, I know it's so early, way too early to be doing this. Tampa's 1-0, Boston's 1-0, Toronto's 1-0 in the division. Just so you guys have a sense. But no, all joking aside, Senators get out to the season 0-1-0. We'll have more to break down tomorrow on Locked On Senators. Waiting to hear what Meth's schedule's like. Hoping to get him on one of the next couple days. But it's an early recording for us tomorrow. And then I am getting on the bird, coming to Ottawa for the home opener. So let's hope for good news on the Shane Pinto front tomorrow. Let's hope for good news on the Josh Norris front in the next couple days. Stay positive. There's still 81 games left to get to the Stanley Cup playoffs. For today, we say goodbye. For more, you can follow at Lalime's Martian on Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Martian Media. You can find us on Twitter at Sens Central, Instagram, LockedOn.Senators. Please like and subscribe wherever you download your podcast. We are also free and available on YouTube. Appreciate everyone in the chat, especially those who are nice enough to make a little bit of, what do I say, Pilsy? A couple dollars in the guitar case, I think I say.
Yeah, throw a couple coins in the case there.
Absolutely. Ali Des mentioned the Sens are going to be 81-1 this season. Let's go. Let's ride with those vibes out. This has been the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast, Martian Media, and the Glebe Central Pub.